What's up, everybody? My name is Olajide, and today I'll be talking about day 2 of in-field training. And when it comes to day 2, it's obviously the second day in the field, and now the main focus is the step 2 of the conversation, because you know how we have 5 steps to a conversation, where day 1 we focus on the first step, which is introduction. Now moving on to that step 2, which is a qualifying question. So right before you get into that, you typically get some type of objection, right? And we call those early objections. And the main focus of day 2 is to try to identify those early objections and the ways we can overcome those objections. And when it comes to early objections, we have a system, a marketing system that we use. Typically, it's called AIR, A-I-R. A for acknowledge, I for ignore, and R for resume. And the purpose of using AIR to overcome this objection is typically because in the preliminary phase of a conversation, you haven't showed anything to the customer. You haven't even said anything. So for you to get an objection, it's pretty off. So it's your goal to actually ignore whatever objection you got in order for you to get back into your presentation. So the first part of the acknowledgement is super important because people want to feel heard, right? You don't want to just go straight into jumping into the ignoring part of it and not actually listening to what they're saying, and people don't feel heard, right? So that's going to lead you to getting kicked out of the business, right? So at first, you want to acknowledge what they're saying, whether it's I completely understand what you're saying or I get it, right? And then you completely ignore what they said because you haven't presented anything yet, right? And then you resume back into your presentation. So what that typically sounds like is, let's take for example, you have an objection of no soliciting. So you were to go into business, you go into the front door, you go in there, hi, my name is Olajide, I'm with AT&T, and you do your pitch, and you get an objection. Did you not see the sign out there? No soliciting. First thing you want to do is acknowledge, oh, I'm sorry, I'm actually not soliciting. AT&T sent me out here due to the fact that we're doing updates, and you go right back into your presentation. So that's me acknowledging what they're saying, that I'm soliciting. Oh, I'm not soliciting. I get it, I'm not soliciting. And then I just re-loop back into the conversation because you don't want to have an objection derail you from the conversation. So the typical objections that we get into the field, get in the field is, I am busy. Completely understand. I see you're currently busy right now, ma'am or sir. I'm gonna make this super quick. AT&T sent me out here due to the fact that we're doing updates in the area, and I'm back into my pitch, back into my conversation. So the main goal is to acknowledge what they're saying, ignore it, and to get right back into it, right? Another objection that we typically get in the field is they already have it. So you want to acknowledge that they already have it. Awesome, great, spectacular, whatever word you want to use, acknowledge the fact that they told you they already have the product, right? And you ignore it and transition back into a conversation. Awesome. Did you take advantage of that business bundle with AT&T? Right, see how I'm back already in the conversation? That's how you overcome that early objection. Another objection that we also get is, I hate AT&T. So typically when people say they hate the product, it's because they've had some type of experience in the past. So they're pretty frustrated. So you definitely do not want to miss the acknowledgement part of AIR. So I completely understand your frustration. I completely understand how you're feeling right now, right? What specific product did you have in the past that gave you trouble? And they'll tell you what it is. Cool, right? And you let them know exactly what AT&T has done. AT&T has invested over $145 billion into the infrastructure over the past few months, and boom, right back into the pitch. You don't want to do too much time and diving into whatever objection they give you because you haven't presented anything. You got to keep that in the back of your mind that your main goal is to create a problem and show them a solution. But if you haven't been able to do that, you got an objection. That's where AIR comes in, so you can acknowledge what they're saying, ignore it, and resume right back into your presentation. Another objection that you can get in the field is that somebody has already been there. So this is an easy objection for you to overcome due to the fact that you can easily just assume that they already have the product. Somebody's already been there. Awesome. I'm assuming you already have AT&T fiber, and they're going to tell you either yes or no. So now you're already back into the conversation. You're back into the qualified questions instead of you letting that objection derail you, right? Another objection you can get in the field is that everything is working perfectly fine. And it's a very common objection when you go into the business. It's kind of similar to they're not interested due to the fact that everything's working fine. This is when you want to piece in that Jones effect. Jones effect meaning everybody wants what other people have. Right, everybody want to relate to their friend, whether it's a new pair of sneakers that your friends got, you want to get that as well. So you want to use that Jones effect. So I completely understand that everything is working fine. So we've been in the area for about a week and a half, and a lot of your neighbors have been having issues with the internet. So what we did is we had them run speed tests. And when we found out they were having this amount of problem, and now you're back into the conversation. It's that easy. Like, I get it, everything is working fine, but we've been with your neighbors and they were having issues with the internet, and we had to run speed tests. and this is what we found out. So I'm gonna go ahead and run that speed test as well. So now I'm back into the conversation without getting kicked out with that early objection. So when a lot of people go into the businesses and they get an early objection, it's typically due to the fact that they have a faulty introduction. So if you go into a business and you have a good introduction, your image is on point, you're not typically gonna get an early objection. But when you do have an early objection, this is where Eric comes in. So that does wrap up our day 2 of the infield training. Make sure you check out our other videos. If you have any questions, put it in the comments below. Thank you very much.